It's the Rag Rod on Garage Insider TV with Lou Santiago. He's going to point out a few things you need to look for underneath a street rod. Be sure to like, subscribe, and get the word out that Lou is on YouTube.
Hey everybody, Lou Santiago for Garage Insider. Now I'm going to tell you something. A friend of mine comes to me and says, Lou, I'm thinking about buying this 48 four-door sedan behind me. And I said to him, did you look at it? He goes, why? He goes, it's rough. That doesn't tell me a lot. So he said, can you look at it? Can you really look at it for me? Go over it. So I said, no problem. Throw it on the lift. Now I can tell you, the body is horrible. It's horrible. We're not even going to touch the body. I want to look underneath it. I want to show you guys what I'm going to find underneath it because I have a really bad feeling that it's not going to be good. Because I did look under the hood, and what I found was really crazy. It's got a second-gen Camaro or like a 76 Nova front end, that style, right? So somebody put a subframe under it. And what I saw just in a couple seconds was not good, okay? So let's go underneath this thing and take a look at it. And like I said, we're not even worried about the body. Just in what you can see here, you can probably make out that the rust is bubbling and there's tons of mud in it. I'm not 100% sure, but if I'm not mistaken, these fenders bolt to the body in 48. I think that might have been the last year. Don't quote me on it. But if they are, they've been molded in. So there's 5 gallons of Bondo right here, no matter how you slice it. So I'm going to raise it up, and you guys are going to follow along with me. And I'm just going to show you what I got. And I'm going to be talking to Lee, the Monday morning racer, just telling him what to look at while we're going. And we're going to check it out, all right? So let me raise this bad boy up. So the first thing I want to tell you guys about our Rag Rod 48 is this right here. You know, when you have a second-gen Camaro or third-gen Nova frame, third-gen Nova front end, stuff like that, you should cap the front end because you have to cut it so far back to make it fit in these cars because you don't have that space out front. But they didn't cap it. And you can see where they just punched through the rust to make it happen. So this is really pretty crazy. Moving straight back to the control arms, you could see right up in here, nothing's been changed out. It still has the original factory control arm bushings. It looks like they literally took the front end out from under the car, jammed it under this one, and kept on moving. That's what it looks like. So we've got stock exhaust manifolds. I'm going to keep going down the driver's side. Then once I get halfway back, we'll go to the passenger side if it's worth it. But if you look up here, I'm going to give you guys some light. Hey, we got a license plate for the floorboard. And they use silicone. They use silicone to seal it. And then they just took the stock shift linkage, welded a washer so you can have your fulcrum so you can shift it in and out of gear. All right? Now, up here on the engine, spin around for me, Lee. Right here, right there. Come over here by me if you don't see it. Just you got to see it right there. What that is, you're going to love this, guys. That is a temporary freeze-out plug. That means that this engine got cold enough to freeze. And right up in here, it's nice and smooth where they did some body work. So that means this thing's probably got a nice crack in it. I just haven't really looked at it to see where it's at. But there's definitely a problem. Let me see if I can get a better light on it. Right there. That's where they worked on it. You see, smooth. Oh yeah, there's a crack in there hiding. They didn't even hook up the sending unit, but that's minor compared to what you're gonna see here in a minute. Now we're gonna go over to the other side, the control arm, right? Come over to the passenger side with me. Again, stock bushings. It's got a new starter in it. I don't know why. I don't know if it runs or not. They didn't even change the motor mounts out. So that's where we are with this car. What these guys did on this isn't the first time we see it, so it's not, I just don't really, I'm kind of lost for words here because what we've got is simple, a bad job. But now, this is where we're going to get really good. Coming back here, you follow the frame rail down, and this is where they attached it to the original frame. So they literally just cut the front end off, slid this one in because it was narrower, and welded it there. And as you can see, it's got some really good welding. They didn't even go in there. They just popcorned it in, right? So then you come back here to the transmission cross member. Now this transmission cross member is sheer fabrication artwork. Nice piece of angle iron. This is this is one of the transmission mounts where you have 3 holes, so it's like a universal fit. They only used one and put it on the side instead of putting it in the middle. I guess they couldn't read the tape measure. That's what they did. So this side is the driver's side is equally good as far as the welding goes. Now I'm going to tell you guys, this car's for sale, but we're going to call it the rag rod. Moving back past the cross member, transmission cross member, just behind it, you can see where there was a brace, a cross member from the factory. They just cut it off with a torch, left it, didn't even take it out. But then you have to support the back of the subframe. So instead of cutting it and capping it off and making it really nice and pretty, they just took another piece of angle iron and welded it in. That's all they did. Now, back here, you've got a body mount. There's a hole in it still. Well, not a hole, I mean, but there's a bolt in it still. As you can see, there's still a bolt in there, right? But as Lee, Monday Morning Racer, told me, this bracket, you might think it's a body mount, but really what it's for is the brake line. You know, that's just sheer genius at that point. It just is sheer genius. So what you've got here is a really heavy-duty brake line bracket. Swing over to the passenger side for me. Again, another gone body mount with no bolt in it, no rubber isolator, no nothing. So that's where we are with that. Now they did use the original leaf springs in the back. They did do that. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that commercial break, but we had to stop and relight because this phenomenal car, just, you know, we had to give it all the love that it deserves. So this is, like I said earlier, the factory leaf spring. Moving back to this shock absorber, look at that. This is what we would call in the biz a full race shock. Look at all that adjustment you have. Not to mention what they did was they just took a piece of flat stock, jammed it in there and put a hole in it. That's all they did. Now, I believe this is an S10 rear end. It's definitely from a GM. Up top, they've got more washers, a lot more washers with their shock absorber. And besides, I didn't mention, it's still the original frame back here. Now, if you look at your U-bolt straps right there, look at that weld. Look at that. They cut the original perch off, welded on their own. I don't know why they did that, because I don't think it would have mattered if it didn't fit right, because it doesn't fit right now. And then they put lowering blocks in, because, you know, you got to be low to be cool. And then you go back to the original leaf spring hanger right here, okay? Now, I have no idea what this gas tank comes out of, but it's definitely a factory item from something. Oh, it might be original, because that's I've seen this in older tanks, original drain. So that might be original. And the floor is rotted out. I just saw that. Floor is rotted out. As you can see, they literally took a piece of sheet metal, laid it on the original floor, didn't even trim it, didn't try to make it nice. They just put it in there. We got a couple of tech screws right here. I'm finding this stuff as we go. This is so phenomenal. So got a tech screw right there. So that's what happened with that. They just jammed it in and hold it down. Yeah, baby, this is a hot rod or a rag rod. Oh, wait, right here, Lee, right here. Look at that, right there. We have an unbroken body mount, but we don't have a nut on it. So far, we only have 2 body mounts that we have seen. Coming back to our full race shock on the lower half of it, you have washers, not as many as the other side, so you have to make it fit properly, and more washers on top than on the bottom. I guess that's for like lateral movement when it's going around those turns fast. The U-bolt on this side, because they used, it looks like, yeah, they did it again. They did the weld, but this bottom mount is for the original leaf spring, I just realized. This would be the shock, I guess. But they're narrower to fit the leaf spring. So the U-joints are, the U-bolts are out. And before I forget, if you look at this rear end, oh, this is from a 3rd gen Camaro. That's what this rear end comes out of. This would be for the torque arm. This would be for the torque arm. And they cut it. Look at that. Dude, they cut it. Oh my God, they were trimming up the rear end to make it look good and stopped. Okay, so let's go back to the frame. Turn and go to the driver's side, Lee. Just do that. We'll go that way, and then we're going to do a spin around. So as you can see, there's more tech screws where the spare tire would be. They just laid another board in. Maybe it's a sign. I don't know, because they got a license plate up front. Ran some screws in, as you can see, more screws. They were pretty liberal with the screws. Oh, and they did use silicone. So you've got silicone to keep the weather out. And then you've got the factory leaf spring bracket in the back. Oh, Bondo, lots of Bondo on the bottom of the fender. This looks like an old exhaust bracket that they just didn't want to take out, didn't feel the need to. Some newer but still old exhaust brackets that they didn't feel the need to take out. On the passenger side, if you spin all the way around, Lee, you'll see another exhaust bracket that they just decided not to take out but left in, and another one. So what we've got here, here, just put the camera on me. Let me just do a stand-up for you real quick. So this is what we have here, guys. Excuse the lighting and all that because we're under the car, but what you need to understand right here and right now, whenever you go to buy a car, don't just look at pictures. You want to lay your hands on the car. We didn't even talk about the body, and we only found a total of 4 body mounts on this car holding it on. Now, I know some people will say that that's enough, but this car clearly has 8 mounts. It's got 4 in the middle, and then, and then there's 4 back here, and 2 of them are missing, and then there's 1 up there. So it doesn't have all the body mounts it should have. So God forbid you get in an accident with this thing, it's going to fold up like a hot taco. And then you got a bigger issue. And the body's probably going to come off. So you want to make sure that you lay your hands on the car and look it over. And if the guy has a problem with you looking it over, or even going to a garage with you to look it over underneath, don't buy the car. I mean, get under it. If you got to lay in the dirt, get under it. But you need to look at this stuff, because I promise you, whoever bought this car when it was done probably paid a lot of money for junk. There you have it. I just had to show you guys this, and we're getting back on what we were doing before. So, yeah, I'm speechless again. It's crazy.